Do you want to introduce board and then I'll introduce?
Yeah, Dave Slaney, Mike B. Lester, and I'm Paula Dene, and this is Pam and Karen. Let me get it right one day.
I'm Pam Hilliard. I'm the Vice President of the Tempe Tucson Operations for AAM. Karen Smith is going to be the new community manager. Chris Curley is no longer with us. There's a letter that will be going out after this month. I'm going to continue to do it for this month. And standing over here is Dave Wisnowski. He is Karen's area manager and her direct supervisor. So he'll be working closely with your community as well. Okay.
So we are looking over the minutes right now, and there's some corrections that need to take place under review of meeting minutes. The last after the last sentence after comma. Do you see that? It is a mistake. Yes. So we need to strike through that.
So after written will be a period, and we'll get those corrected.
Do you guys see anything else then?
No.
No? So we're going to move to approve minutes from last meeting?
Move to approve. Second.
Kind of let me do the finances. How about that?
Well, I'll try. Okay. So as of, I've got both December and January in here. February, I just reviewed today, so that'll be coming out to the board by the 15th. I put December and January in so that the board could see both of them. In December, in operating, you have 35,888. In January 31st, you have 53,789.19. So in operating. In reserves, in December, you had 97,126.40, and in January 31st, you had 98,773. So financially, you've got good money in the bank. The budget comparisons are also both in here. I'm only gonna go through the January. This was prior to the budget being approved and uploaded into the system, so February does have your budget in it. This has all zeros for the budget. There is a mistake on the budget that we need to correct. I'm gonna have to fix it because it doesn't have anything under contracts for gate maintenance in your budget, by the way.
Okay.
So we have to fix that.
Yeah.
It was based on what we were trying to do from the financials we got at the time from the old management company, and that wasn't real easy to understand. So we'll get that fixed and back out to you, and then we'll update the budget.
Okay.
And once it's corrected, we'll publish it on the website for the members.
Okay.
So it's hard to give you a variance as of January because there's no budget until February's financial. I will tell you on the delinquency report, you have a total due the association of $24,069.13. That includes previous and current homeowners. Excuse me. On your quarterly assessments for this community, $13,909 is what's past due, and you have $7,561 in prepaid assessments, so they paid in advance of the second.
Should motion to approve, please?
Yep.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there any comment from the board before you vote?
Is there any comment from the floor before we vote on any of this?
Not that you have them, but you
Yeah.
heard what I said.
Yeah.
Motion to approve. You did that. How about-
We'll do. All in favor?
There you go. So, we need to know what you guys want to do for meeting schedule.
Would you decide, are we gonna still try and mimic it within that same timeline as the other, as the master?
Ken?
You can.
One at the same night?
No. No. 2 in 1 night, no.
So that one is every third
We
Tuesday,
did
Thursday?
We did
Did
Thursday.
you figure it
Thursday.
out? Well, it hasn't set yet.
The library that we talked about
Yeah.
has no availability in March or April. There is one day possibly, which is the 26th of April, which is
Okay.
a Tuesday.
Okay.
And you can only book it 2 months at a time.
So are you sure why we were not doing it here?
That's what you guys had said at the
That's what you said.
master
We're
meeting.
good with here.
Right, space availability is gonna be a lot more
You
flexible.
wanna go with that
Okay,
Thursday?
Okay,
so you wanna
So
do
that would be Wednesday.
Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday?
Tuesday, Thursday,
Tuesday, Thursday, because I'm thinking church.
Wednesday's a church
Sure.
meeting.
Okay, so Tuesday, Thursday, every third week of the month, does that work?
So
Let's do that.
she'll schedule those then, and we'll do a postcard out to the homeowners that way.
Okay.
So I just need some help on what your action task list is, so that Karen and I can keep things rolling. I know you need bids for gate maintenance.
So we talked about that a little bit, that the gates are moving slow. So at some point,
Well, one's stuck open again.
right, do you think we need to start thinking about replacing the
Well-
motors at this point?
So we've been told a bunch of different stories about the gates and the operation. All the new gate openers have to be operated on a low voltage system, no more line voltage. So with that said, basically what's happening is that all the gate openers have a battery. The battery is being charged by a battery charger. So the speed of the gates in the cold temperatures is definitely gonna be slower. Now you can update and buy new gate openers, you can do all of the above, but it's still gonna have variances in temperatures from what I've been told by Antec. So if we get some other ideas from other people, the part about the low voltage I did look into, and that is true, for safety reasons. But as far as if there's anything more that could be done with what we've got, they all seem to be operating, except for the brand new one, correct? At a
It's
pretty
working
slow
now,
speed.
it's working, yeah, but it's fast too.
Right, but ours are slow, all
All
of them, so.
Ours slowed down too.
Does anybody else, obviously the gates are a constant problem.
Service contract on the gates, how do we have a service contract?
We do. We have a company, we used to have a couple companies that we were working with prior to Antec, the current company, and we found out that they were stealing our parts and all kinds of stuff. So we've been with Antec for a while. The biggest issue with them, it's hard to believe, but we searched around here, this was probably 5 years ago, to find a local company. Antec is actually out of Tucson. We have a service call, they come out of Tucson. Seems absolutely crazy, but we couldn't find a good company. We're gonna have
We
them
have several
searching
we work with.
now for a new gate company. We can split from them at any time, and we're in the process of doing that. Because their service is,
They were out
obviously
last
it's
week.
slow, they don't seem to fix the problem. You know, I'm constantly, when we were with Kachina, yelling at them saying, hey, you guys were just out here, fix the gate. The next day, the gate would be halfway open, halfway closed.
That happened this time.
It's constant.
Happened this week.
Yeah, they were here Thursday last
And
week, I
today the
think,
gates are open.
and today I got an email, they were fixed, now they're open again.
Well, one of the things that was with Antec, when we took over from the builder, from the developer, Woodside, they were all over the place. The gates wouldn't open, they wouldn't close, the remotes didn't work. Turns out the wiring and everything that was done was haphazard, because if you remember, while the construction was going on, 99% of the time the gates were open. So when they finally turned it over, nobody could seem to figure out the problem. It had issues with wires, wiring, missing wires. So Antec came in like the knight in shining armor. They corrected the problem. But again, that's many years ago. Maybe it's time to look elsewhere.
Okay, you talked about the low voltage. Now, is that something that we would be grandfathered into because we had the high voltage prior to?
No, they're low voltage already, so anything you replace with would be the low voltage. So the ones we have now are low voltage already. You see what I'm saying? So any upgrades or so would still fall under the same pack, but doesn't mean that is there other ideas or other possibilities that we're not being told about, that they don't know about. Time to look somewhere else.
What are you gonna have to know about this? I can do some research on it, not a problem.
Yeah, I know I mean, if you want to, obviously, we're more than willing to have any kind of help. I know management companies looking into companies right now, they have some, you know, ones that they work with and other subdivisions, so we're hoping that's gonna solve the problem. Because we've replaced arms, we've replaced motors, we've replaced
Control
new
board.
boards.
But I see kids when the school bus stops and they put the code in, the kids jump on the gate, so they
Oh,
don't
And
open
that's,
it.
that's a lot of
And I
the
yell at
problem.
them, but they're not my kids.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
that's, usually that's a lot of the problem. You know, we went back and forth, you know, we tried it for a little while, people were not very happy with. You know, down in Florida where my mom lives, they have gates too, and obviously our subdivision is fairly large, so you're going in and out, you know, there's pretty much two people twice a day, you're talking about, 1,500 opens and closes every day, about leaving them open for an hour or two at the prime in and out. We got a lot of complaints on that, and that didn't work, so we have to work to try and figure out a better solution to the gates.
What's the annual maintenance cost on gate repair?
Well,
The budget or the actual? Because it's, honestly, it's all over the, you said,
I just got an invoice that was $495 for the service, and I think that's a monthly service contract?
Right, to
That's
take
the
care
new
of all of
monthly.
them, A1, A2. Yeah.
and that's just service, that's obviously
Yeah, that's
repair.
not repairs.
That's just
the
repairs or
service.
above and beyond that, and that's all over the board.
Probably just labor, not parts, right?
Oh, no, the repairs would include parts. I mean, parts are billed also. This is just the preventative maintenance for them to come out and do data entry and oil the motors and stuff like that.
Check the batteries and so
Yeah.
forth, so, but it's obviously not the answer to the problem, because it's still ongoing.
What about the pedestrian gates?
That was something that Kachina was supposed to,
We voted on that a long time ago to get them repaired, and I agree.
Is
I
there,
think when we voted on them last time, they were very expensive, and Cliff was gonna be getting more, because I think the bid that he got was like $1,500 per block
that's about right.
to get them fixed or repaired. I
But
forgot
I
what
think
it was.
it
so
wasn't
that's the
all of
going
them,
rate is $1,500 a lot?
It was 28th Street, right? And
I know 29th,
29th.
I think pretty much all of them, because I think Summit, are both Sunrise,
How much is
do
it?
you know, are both?
No, on 27th, the other side, I see him using the pad to get out.
Okay.
Guys are walking through or so it might be 28, 29, but they should all be checked.
Correct.
So you have the keypads already?
What's that?
You
Yes.
have the keypad
Right,
entries
some were
already?
not working, they were gonna be looked into, but obviously never got done.
Okay, so if you were gonna replace them all, it'd probably be around $12,000. If they can repair
Right.
and replace one or two if needed, that wouldn't be as bad, so we'll have that also.
We
Is
just
that
need to have
him,
them all
the gate
checked out.
company that does it, or separate company?
It's a locksmith?
It's usually, no, it's usually the gate company.
It is the gate
Oh,
company?
really? Okay.
What, you just have like a
I don't
keypad
think-
lock on them?
Well, I don't think Cliff had it's just a push button code.
Oh,
Yeah, some,
okay.
The gate company didn't
it's
service
not
those
electronics
last
or
time.
anything,
I thought it was a card
No, no.
reader type thing.
No.
Okay,
push button.
Push button. So would that fall under locksmith?
yeah,
Do you have a fantastic one?
we have lots of them.
We get that.
We manage over 350 communities in Arizona, so we've got hundreds and hundreds and thousands of meters.
So that should be an easy, quick fix.
Okay.
Do you guys want to talk about the cleanup between the two subdivisions, if we're gonna take on the financial responsibility?
Yeah, we might as well bring it up.
Is that the wash cleanup?
No, it's, well.
Well, not the wash cleanup, just to the north of Shaughnessy.
Between A1 and A2.
Correct, which everything is overgrown at this point.
And that's not part of the contract? Is it the NAOS area?
No, it's an area that's just, it's not part of the maintenance.
Desert.
So,
Okay.
well, it's kind of like trimming the trees.
Yes,
Okay.
but
And
it's not something they would
between-
clean every single week when they come out,
Right.
that type of thing. So eventually it needs to be cut back. So we're in the position that needs to be cut back. And then the master doesn't want to pick up the tab right now. So it's something that either we, A1, A2, needs to take on the financial responsibility and decide to clean it up, or do we wait until master decides at that
Has
point?
ISS given you a price for it yet?
Yeah,
Yeah.
1,600. The area we're talking about is on the north side of Shaughnessy, between the gully that goes along the road and the wall to the houses, the homes. If you look between the back entrance of Sunrise and the front entrance of Sunrise, it's very overgrown. We want to go in there and clean all that up.
And it's part of the master association.
It is,
Yes, it is.
it is, but
Would
the
it-
master.
Would it go all the way up, or just, you said, to the house?
All the way up, just along the back wall. You have the back wall of the houses, so the cinder block walls. Between that cinder block wall and the edge of the wash is probably 3-4 feet.
All overgrown.
Yeah, it's really over.
Really overgrown. So we want to just basically get in there and clean up like we do everywhere else in the common area.
questions, or any
Is it-
comments on that? Is that something realistic? Yes?
Are we gonna actually be mixing funds between the master and the A1, A2?
Well, the problem lies this, is the master at this point, obviously we all know what's going on because the petitions are going out there. So the master portion doesn't want to pick up the expense of the $1,600. So either we can sit and wait for all this to go through over the next couple of months, month and a half, or we can go ahead and or we can go ahead and take on the financial responsibility and A1, A2 pays for it. So we need some feedback from all of you here. Is it something that bothers you that much that you want it taken care of immediately, or is it something that you want to wait till the issues are addressed with the master and then they pay for it?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I never noticed it, so.
Yes, it is.
Just table it.
You want to table it for now?
I guess so,
Let me
yeah.
ask you this, if the money was spent regardless of what comes out in the next month, is there a chance that we could be reimbursed for letting the money out? Because there is definitely an issue with the growth of the plants and the time of year. It's gotten exceptionally warm, exceptionally quick this year.
Well, we're gonna know the 23rd, so we're actually 15 days away.
Oh, okay.
So we'll just table it for now.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do that.
Let's see if we can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the reality.
Okay, we'll do it next month then.
Can I clarify one of your questions? Money between A1 and A2 and the master will never be commingled.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure.
That will never happen.
It
But
was
they-
just whether or not you guys, since it's behind your homes, wanted to pay to have this done since the master hasn't done it. That's what the question is.
Or maybe the question is, can they share the responsibility and pay a portion each?
Well,
It
technically,
should be
it's the
paid for
master.
by the
The
master.
master.
We voted on
We
it.
pay for the master.
You're correct.
exactly.
We pay for the master, I don't understand.
I agree. We
We agree.
voted on it. Both Paula and I voted for yes to have it done, and it was not unanimous, so it was not approved. So,
Another question, does it present, I'm sorry, does it present a safety issue? I mean, the rattlesnake, we just saw on the news today, the rattlesnakes, the one guy, just he's in the hospital today. So does that present for these homeowners, is that a potential safety issue? I mean, I would be,
It's a
if
good
my home was
question.
there, I'd be concerned.
it's a good question. I'm not sure if it technically is. They are solid block walls, so obviously a snake can't climb straight up, but
Actually,
regardless.
I think they can, because in Queen Creek, we had just this last weekend, a child taking something out to the trash in the community got bit by a rattlesnake, not even in a mountainous area. So they're really bad this year, and they're all over, and you guys are against a mountain. So,
It's a good thing to bring up.
I
I
don't-
think we can bring it up as a possibility of being a safety hazard in order to get it done. Because it's
Yeah.
part of the master's responsibility in my opinion.
I mean, there's children walking down that path. I mean, my children are in college, so they're not walking down that path, but I'm just, and my home is not there, but I'm just.
yeah, I don't know that I'd let any kids be walking out on desert paths and ground right now. They're just coming
Well,
out.
it's right by the sidewalks, yeah.
Is there anything that you guys want? Yes? No? New business?
I had an owner emailing me, and I'm so sorry, I can't remember his name, but it's the neighbor of the house that got flooded the worst.
Oh, Dominic.
Dominic?
Yes, Dominic. He sent me a bunch of videos and stuff. Was there anything
Is that
that was gonna be done back there by
That,
the
I'll let
association?
that isn't say, let David take that one.
So what happened was, is when
Before
they
you go
came-
on, David, just on the, I heard maybe yourself say, in your opinion, it should be looked after by the master.
Mhm.
Is it not clearly defined with like a boundary? for the way
It is,
you
it's a track of the masters.
So, argument over, right, the master pays for it. Why is there a vote on it? I don't
Because it's
understand.
spending over $500, and management can't spend over $500 unless there's an emergency without board approval. So if it's outside a meeting, which the request was, it has to be unanimous, and one board member would not vote for it.
Okay.
It's kind of like Washington.
Outside of meeting by
Nothing gets
statute, it
done.
has to be unanimous. If they're doing something over email, it has to be unanimous.
Okay, and it's in the meeting,
In the meeting, it does not have to be unanimous.
okay, that's the next meeting.
The next regular board meeting is the end of April. For the master. Because the recall meeting is the end of this month. Which you'll all be doing.
Okay, go ahead. Don't answer.
So, what happened was that there was 3 or 4 homeowners, there was 3 of them, two of them, I'm sorry, there was 2 on the Sunrise side, and there was 2 on the Summit side. One on the Summit side was I believe a renter, I don't think was an owner, if memory serves me, and the person you're speaking about is an owner. When the 1,000-year flood occurred 3 years ago, whatever it was, he had sent in a request to Kachina to look at what could be done. And again, memory recalls, it was supposed to be something they were gonna hire an engineer, long story short, never got done. This person showed up at, I think it was our last or 2 meetings ago, and saying, where are we? It's been all this time, I haven't heard a thing. At that point, I went out and I found an engineer that would come in and do at least a cursory report to see what the conditions of the property, the landscape, everything was, and just give an opinion. So he did that. He spent probably 3 or 4 hours in the field, met with all of the people, homeowners, except for the renter. She wasn't there, but Dominic filled her in. The report was generated and sent to the homeowners. Now, the 2 homeowners in Sunrise, I don't think had any questions. They gave them recommendations of what to do to stop possible future floods, but it was basically said, in a rain event like this, just as you had said, you live against a mountain. When that water comes down, it's going to go wherever it wants to go.
Path of least resistance.
That's right. So backing up to a mountain, there is risks involved. It's like kind of living on the ocean. There is risk involved. The chances are probably less here than living on the ocean.
But there's nothing the HOA needs to do.
Well, so that was it. So what they did is they went out and they pointed out to them, and the engineer said that the water's traveling down these paths and these washes and things like that, and said to the homeowner, there's a few things you could do. You could raise up your wall in the back, your stem wall, and then leave view fencing or eliminate it altogether. And that way the water, like you said, point of least resistance would go into the next wash and be gone. And that's how it was left. Now, I forwarded that report to the homeowners. I forwarded it to Chris, and he's no longer here. And that's how it was left. But in my opinion, and I'm not an expert, I don't know how the HOA could stop water flow coming down a mountain or coming down a wash or...
Okay, I guess my question is,
I really don't know. I don't know where it was left. We shared the report, we shared the recommendations. I don't know where this goes from here.
okay, I guess my biggest question is, because I'm sorry I don't know your community real well yet, the area behind these homes, is that common area?
NAOS.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is a wash back there?
Yes.
It's a
Was
water
never
channel?
disturbed by anything. The only thing that they did is when they cut those lots back against the mountain, they cut the mountain and they filled it in with shotcrete. And
Yeah, I saw the
created-
water pouring off.
Yeah, and created that just so the people would have land. But beyond that, it's just natural wild wilderness.
Okay, but we do own a tract back there, the association does. Okay, let me look into it. Have you guys looked at doing any kind of additional trenching with?
From what the engineer
approval of
said, the trenching you could do all that you want. When the water comes down at that rate, you'd have to build a moat.
The way
Oh, I know.
his wall comes up, there's a huge, like a 404 wash here, and then it ridges up over here. He's on kind of
Yeah, I saw
45
the
on the
numbers.
way down. So the 404 catches most of the water, but it kind of V's down a little bit towards his wall. And like you said, we've been here for, 12 years, and he hasn't had a problem with the 100-year flood that
Right.
created so much water that it went over his wall into his pool. And I think what his question is the HOA responsible to either build up his wall or create a new channel? It's too wide of a piece of property to,
Did you guys get a legal
re-channel.
opinion on it at all?
What's that?
Did you get a legal opinion on it at
No,
all?
what we did is we got the engineer's report. We did send it to Curtis Ekmore. He said, again, just reading briefly through it, I mean, you could bring in a team of legal experts to say whose fault the mountain is, that it is the way
Oh,
that
I
it is.
know.
But, it's 6 of one, half of the
Oh,
other.
trust me, Curtis knows real well what that mountain does.
Yeah, so the point is that, if this happened once in the 12 years that we were here and it did create damage, and I'm sorry to hear it, and it did happen, but you know, it's not like every time it rains or drizzles, he gets water. So, you know,
It's
all
that
these
massive
plot plans
storm.
and things were approved by the city before they even allowed him to build it.
Okay. And I do have access to anything you sent Chris in his email, I just
Right.
have to go look
Well,
for
I
it.
just kind of shared it with him and said, here's the report, here's what I sent to the owners, and like I said, the two people in Sunrise, we know them on a personal level, and I guess they just took what they said, one needed to put in some kind of a relief drain on the side of the house so it could go to the back of their home, and the other one, I think, was just to add a little bit of a knee wall in front, so when it comes down the street, it'll bypass him and keep right on going down the street.
Okay.
But
Did
I
you
think-
email it to Chris?
Yeah.
Okay.
I probably still have the actual if you don't.
We can find it.
Okay.
Okay, so right now, the only thing we're really working on is the gate maintenance bids and the repair for the push buttons.
Have you checked out?
Is there anything else that we need to be working on for?
The Dominic thing, to see that.
Yeah, I'm
Get
gonna check
that
on
off the
that.
checklist, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
Is there anything out in the community that you guys noticed that you would like to see addressed?
With the gate maintenance, what about the access gates for pedestrians?
That's what-
We
Yeah,
were talking
just
about
about
that, the push button access.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about the rest of the community? There's a lot of areas where people can just walk through. Is there any talk about putting fences all around the place?
No.
Has anybody ever brought that up to make it
No.
actually a secure community?
No.
I mean, there's something to think of with the 202 going through and what we may be getting out that way. I think it might not be a bad idea.
Are they walking paths that go to other
Yeah.
areas besides your community? Then
You want to make it a.
probably.
gates are not
Yeah,
truly-
community, I think that's a good idea.
Well,
You'd
your
almost have
gates,
to put a fence like around the sides, because, you know, they're mostly for the cars and easy access,
That's-
but everybody knows you can just walk right around them.
yeah, it's not a secured community, it's a restricted access for vehicles, that's the reason you have gates.
Yeah.
So if you have pathways that go through, it's probably platted that way, and they may go to other communities at some point or other areas. You're not gonna be able to gate those through the county or the city.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else?
You'll all be getting a notice probably day after tomorrow, the next day at the latest on the meeting, the 23rd.
I just had one question about the letter that was sent. It had in there the last bullet about the short-term rental. When was that? Because I don't have, I guess, CCNRs or bylaws for A1, A2.
Well, I don't have a copy of that either, and we're
Right.
searching for it.
Mhm.
But from what I understand from the board, the membership voted on the amendment to the CCNRs, and it passed back when Kachina was the manager, 2012-13 timeframe. So we just need to find a copy of it, because I don't think they ever recorded it with Maricopa County Recorder's Office. So we just need to find the paperwork. It's in a file box somewhere.
So are you gonna post the A1, A2 bylaws and CCNRs?
Yes, they should, I think they were posted today.
Okay.
When I went on the website this morning, it's just one website for all
Right,
of you.
okay.
When I went on this morning, I could see the master documents without signing in,
Oh,
but I had to sign in, and then I could see the A1, A2, except it was just the collection
right,
files.
yeah, I saw that too.
So I believe Jessica posted everything else on there today, but that amendment still isn't in there because I don't have a copy of it.
Oh, okay.
Also, we're getting the financials posted, and any minutes that we can gather together will get posted as well.
Thanks.
Reserve study for the masters also on there. Yes, in the back?
I was told by Cliff that we could not enforce that renter, because it was a state, it was overturned, and that it wouldn't be required for that reason, I don't know.
When did you talk, we were just talking about that tonight, that should have been a done deal. When, did you talk to Cliff a while ago?
Yeah, because I had a question about church and rentals.
We voted on that and voted against rentals in the community.
That's what he said.
It was unanimous, and then he was,
There was a case taken right before the Super Bowl, and they said that it could not be enforceable because people have the right to rent their homes for the Super Bowl, and that it wasn't enforceable. So I don't really know what the final outcome was, but he told me that it was not enforceable.
Cliff did,
Correct.
in
Was it-
January, because that's obviously,
Before the Super Bowl, yeah.
So that's the end of January, yeah, Cliff
And he was
wasn't
like,
even.
"Oh,
Wasn't
I think she
Yeah.
was the Super Bowl that was hosted here in Phoenix.
Oh, in
Oh,
Arizona,
okay.
gotcha, okay.
So, I'll just have to pull out the law book on rentals. Was it not less than 30 days, or what was your amendment? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Look at it, 6
Oh,
months.
I think
6
it was
months,
6
6
months.
months, no less than 6 months,
Okay.
no less than 6 months.
What we voted on was less than 6 months, or no less than 6 months. So what we have to figure out is Kachina didn't give us any kind of verification that that document needs to be recorded with our CCNRs
Right.
in order to be legitimate, and we were just talking about that tonight.
Noticed.
And can we check that it's actually enforceable if we record it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep, we will.
I'll go on to the NFL, that's great.
NFL has their laws.
Yes.
So, just on the back table, Kelly, did you put those notices on the back table? That, where did we do with those?
FAA notice or the?
Yeah. So did you set where they're at on the back table?
Yeah.
They were moved around?
Yeah.
There's some notices that were on the back table that obviously everybody's very aware that Mike and I are being recalled, I guess is the best word.
That's what it is.
That's a good word. Okay, so on there is my bio or my take on it. Mine's 2 pages long, probably 4, condensed to 2, trying to make it quick and easy. The last one is that someone that was voted onto the master board, his name is Galen, that obviously we're very aware that the flight traffic is now coming over our area. So he has a huge campaign that he's wanting to put a lot of effort into. So if you guys want to take a look at that and, start moving in that direction. He had a conference call, I believe, with Sal today, and so we're really hoping the push to not have the flight over the top of it.
I just want to correct one thing Paula
Did I say it
said.
right?
He wasn't voted onto board, he was
Appointed, I'm sorry, appointed, thank you, okay, language. So, mine is on there, that my bio, I guess, is the best way to put it. You're gonna be getting a ballot in the mail that is very small, it's not quite this large. Pam wouldn't allow me to take up that much of the envelope. So that's why those are there. I am going to be passing them out door to door also, so if you get one twice, you'll know why. Just because it's the campaign to keep, on the board. If there's questions that anybody has of me right now, I'd be more than happy. The big comments that are out there right now, I think, is that the master board is broke. That's not true. Pam, can you help me on that?
Not true.
Okay.
Just not true. The financials will be on the website and everybody can look for themselves.
Yeah, so the master's not broke. There's been we don't commingle funds, so in other words, we don't have access to money at all. So the management company takes your payments, they pay the bills, they do all those. In order to pay any large amounts, it takes the whole board approval for that to take place.
Or majority if it's in a meeting.
Majority, yeah, I mean, it's just, we don't have access to 1 penny whatsoever. I think that, we put a lot of effort into it. I know that some stuff, I'm talking for Mike, and I'm just like, if I'm his wife or something here, right?
Okay.
But what I can say is I see the stuff that's out there, so if anybody has any questions for me, I'm gonna speak for Mike though for just a minute. Mike by far is probably a little pickier than I am about certain issues. When it comes to landscaping, he definitely is the one that picks up the phone, doesn't like the way the bush was trimmed. He probably doesn't know I'm gonna say this stuff about him, but he also is the one that took the bag around and changed light bulbs when all the place was lit up and there was no lighting prior to it. So he's the one that makes a phone call to Todd and says, I don't like the way this looks. He's the one that when the monument sign was crashed through 8 million times and they redid the landscaping, he's down there with the people. It wasn't me. I mean, mine is more in different aspects of it. That's his thing. That's important to him to make sure that every bush looks the best, the landscaping looks good, the monument signs, the lighting up of those things and making sure that the lights are there. Sure, I agree with him. There's certain things that are important to me. Obviously, pedestrian gates, I'm no offense to some of you guys, the gates move really slow for me. I don't have the patience for that. I mean, I think I'd say that every time I go through my skate, I'm like, oh, these are killing me here. I mean, ours goes faster, so certain things. So I think the balances have been good between Mike and I, and of course, Dave's on the board with us, and he's the the
Construction.
if I've got a question that, like with the gate issue, we're having, some problems every time it rained. So sure, I'm gonna call Dave and say, Dave, what's up with the gates? I don't understand. Every time it rains, they're not working. What's the deal? And he has more of the answers to it. So I think the balance of the three of us on this board has worked out very well over many years, just because the balance of what each one of us bring to the table. So I guess what I'm asking you is when you do see the ballots, please don't throw them in the trash. Please put on there to keep us on there, because I think at this point we've done a great job, master and also A1, A2. I know that the comment has been made that they don't like the fact that we live in A1, A2 and that we're not on the and that we're on the master board. What happened is during a segment of time that I was not on the master board, I've been going back and forth, and then sometimes I'm on both, is one side of the street started looking like a different side of the street. And when we drive home at night, we go past the other side of the street, and it started to look not like our side of the street, and the bushes were overgrown, and the rocks was, that was dirt, I don't even know what that was. There was too many plants, the monument sign was band-aided up, and you know, it just became that. So I felt as though that we needed to move over to the master side in order for it to look the same. If for some of you that have lived here for any length of time, you realize that our signs that go into our community were lit up, they were painted, the metal piece was added to it. We asked the master at that time, hey, this is what we're going to do. Would you guys like to do it too? The answer was no. They did not want to do it. So I'm thinking, okay, well, our side's going to be looking better than your side. You guys kind of want to do this. Nope, we don't want to do this. Okay. So then at that point, when a position came available, I ran for that board so that we could end up making one side look as nice as the other side. We, meaning A1, A2, we pay into the master. Why is it that we have to look at that mess coming down to our homes? So that's why we went onto the board. At the time, nobody was ever wanting to fill a position on that board, so I picked up the phone. I called Mike and said, Mike, will you please run so that we can end up having the whole area look as nice as what it is when we come through our gates. So I twisted his arm and pleaded with him to help me out and make that side look as nice as our side, and to give that little bit of the extra plants and the monument sign and the sparkle and the shine that he brings to the table. So he did, and now where we are right now. So.
And Paula probably doesn't know this if she hasn't seen her emails from me today. But the only thing that's going to be mailed out is the notice of the meeting and the ballot. So that's all that's coming to you. So if you go to the Foothills Reserve Fax.
And it's Foothills Reserve Fax, is FACTS, and you go on there, my full letter, which is what's in your lap, will be on there. And then if you have comments or questions or anything. So I'm going to open the floor if anybody's got any questions for myself at all.
Well, I just had a question. Are we looking at adding any positions to this board?
We hadn't really thought about it, to be honest with you. I mean,
We haven't discussed it.
yeah, we didn't even discuss it at this point.
Do you feel there's a need?
Well, I think it's always better if you have more opinions.
Sure.
Would it be necessarily board members you'd want to add? Because this is a much smaller community with the two together, 200
2 or
versus
3.
600.
Yep.
What about committees?
No, I mean, I think
To have some
board
committees.
members, somebody that has voting rights would be a good idea.
We can talk about it.
Absolutely.
Architectural committees, things like that.
What was it? I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Architectural committees or anything for
Sure.
approving? I mean, is that just all up to you guys right now?
For right, go
Like,
ahead.
It is, because in the past, for all of the years that we've been here, which is 9, every time that the ideas have come up from prior to AAM doing this, like a website or architectural or whatever, everybody raised their hand, says they want to do it, and then when you ask them, give us your information, we'll get back to you, and nobody ever does. So it always came back to us in newsletter. It's always come back to the 3 or 4 or however many board members that came to this. And one of the things that was brought up, and this is again without rehashing old history, at the master meeting I was there too, the Master Association, it was always driven home about why don't we have regular board meetings. It's not that the board doesn't want to have regular meetings, it's that we spent the money to come here, and probably 80% of the time, maybe 2 people will show up. So at that point, it was just decided that maybe the people that have issues or so would let the management company know, and that'd be it, because it still takes the time of the manager, the board members, and everybody to show up. Nobody did. This is the biggest crowd we've ever seen in probably how many years?
Yeah, I think that's a lot to do with what's been going on. I mean, a lot of us are here for that reason, I'm
Yes.
sure. And you know, the community's torn apart.
But you know, when we were at the Master Association, I'm not on that board, so I was just a member in the audience. So I gotta say, it was really disappointing to the display of, anger that was put on Shaughnessy and Chandler Boulevard. We don't live in communities like that. And when it boiled right down to it, not one of the issues that was raised up on the flagpole was even brought up. So we're still wondering, why? Not one.
It was
Nothing
embarrassing
about
to
the
drive
party, nothing about,
I have never
not
been
one.
more embarrassed.
The only
I've
thing
lived
that
here 10 years, I've never been more embarrassed to drive down Pecos Road and
Right,
see
and not
people
one
with
thing.
signs, and I'm like, where do we live? The complaining about the landscaping
But it wasn't
is
brought up.
beautiful. That's the first thing you see.
But nothing was
And
brought up,
Roger
so.
Sess lives in that community, of course, he lives there, he's gonna wanna see it nice. Instead of going, hiring someone that's cheaper, who doesn't live there,
But they're there all the time.
they're there all the time.
So why do they have to be there all the time?
Well, it's their
It's not
contract,
Airport authority, I understand, they're always doing stuff all the time.
but they're under contract, so whether they're there one day or every single day, we pay the same fee. There's no, the only time there was extras is like the flood incident, of course, which keeps being brought up, and I'm sure all of you realized when you left that day or those times that we had that flood. I drive a truck. I was afraid to drive through that thing. It was like a river. I mean, and then the city tells us it's gonna be 2 or 3 weeks before we can get somebody out there. So our opinion always was is that this person took the responsibility of possibly damaging city streets and be fined and everything else for it. He didn't even have to take that job, but open the streets for us. And again, that was brought up as, why'd you spend the money? Well, we gotta leave. We
Anybody
can't-
who knows how to run a skid loader is not gonna serve us.
Right, but you didn't have to do it. Right, didn't have to do it.
It's unbelievable.
Right, so it was done, and it was taken care of, and, the point being is that all of the things that were being talked about, and it was like black fog that none of this came up. It was just a few points, and none of them were relating to anything that was mentioned on that whole, so we're still
You're
not quite
talking
sure.
about just the last meeting we had last week?
No, I'm talking about when they had all the picketers out there and everything that was being picketed and talked about, nothing was brought up. There was accusations made of the community going broke, there was accusations made of, we're paying too much for postage, but none of that stuff that was being protested was even brought up, so we're still in the fog of what was the point?
I'll say, myself, I stopped, and I wanted to find out what was going on, and I talked to people. And I kind of got a different outlook on different things. And I'm thinking, well, I'm living in this community, and I'm thinking there's no place for none of this. They brought up things about Mike. I don't know if they're true or they're not true.
Depends on what you're talking about. You can ask me about anything.
It doesn't have to do with
the
the book,
thing
it doesn't
that-
have
It
to do
does
with.
have to do with a lot of things that go on in this community.
There's,
If what they're saying.
Can I,
I'm not gonna tell him what he should do or what he shouldn't. I have my thoughts and a lot of other people have their thoughts. They talked about the Halloween parties and the receipts and all that, okay?
it's all documented.
I documented. Some of the documents they were showing us people.
They were showing
Give
partials.
me, I spent this much money on a Halloween party, you need to cut me a check. Did that happen?
Yes, and we sent in receipts. Paula and I,
And they showed me the receipts, because I was digging into it. I get receipts for gift cards, receipts for cigars, receipts for liquor.
no,
And we're spending $20,000 on
Okay.
a Halloween party?
gift cards
Hold
were
it.
given out to the kids for Halloween costumes.
hold on.
Every single thing is documented.
Like I said,
Here's the frustration that we have being constantly accused of this, is we have documented everything. Paula and I, for the Halloween parties, would go out and do everything. You guys have no idea the amount of energy that we put into those things.
and I applaud you for that.
Yes, but here's the thing. Our budget allowed for the Halloween parties. We sent out 2 years in a row, do you guys still want to have the Halloween parties? Overwhelming, we got letters back saying, yes, absolutely have the Halloween parties. Our budget was still overfunded after the Halloween parties. I can't tell you how many people moved into our subdivision because we had the sense of community and the Halloween parties. I can look around me right now and have several people who came up to me in the last 2 years saying, Mike, why are we not having this Halloween party? Mike, why are we not doing this? They have kids. What'd you say?
Maybe A1, A2.
There's something strange about it because we have Lakewood community, so there are Christmas parties.
Right, and the problem is, I mean, did you go to the Halloween parties?
No, I didn't know any of it.
Okay.
My question is, and that's fine, my question is, $20,000 for one Halloween party, that's all?
Yeah.
Is that what we're spending?
26 per household.
Yeah, so it turned out to be like $26 per household. I mean, you could spend $5,000 and you wouldn't have bounce houses. Nobody ever said to us, hey, you're spending too much money on a Halloween party. Our budget was, we were over, I mean, back then, Kachina was taken there. We went through 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, the crisis. Cliff constantly said to us, you guys are by far one of the healthiest communities through, and we on the south side had tons of foreclosures. We had to work through all the foreclosures, working with the attorneys, trying to get HOA fees paid. I mean, it was a ton of work, and we were still overfunded. I know everyone keeps talking about $20,000 for a Halloween party. If anybody came in and complained to us that that was too much, it would be fine. We'd say, okay, we'll bring it back. Everyone's kept coming up with, hey, we should do more of this. We should do more of this. If you came to those streets, it's unbelievable. Kelly posted pictures, and I mean, I think it's an incredible community event that I wouldn't know half the people in the community that I got to meet.
The people who were complaining on the side of the street about the Halloween party, we haven't had a Halloween party in 2 years.
No.
Why didn't they complain 3 years ago? Their families were there with their kids and their sisters and brothers who didn't even live in that community. But that's okay. But now they're complaining.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's coming up 2 years
Well,
later.
I'm
think-
telling you what I saw.
No, absolutely.
I'm trying to show you what my concern was, and I know we were spending $20,000 on a Halloween party. I might have said, question, what are we doing, If you're buying everybody booze and you're doing all that, and everybody wants it, then that's one thing.
Right.
Well, I don't know
And
that.
we had the money for it, I think, which is great. Hang on one second. We had the money for it, which is great. And I think our community is great, even now. It's so unfortunate that what's happened. And I think, though, here's the biggest problem that we have is that everything, almost 99% of the things that they brought up, that we heard they brought up, because I stopped by, obviously, are unfounded. They said that we were embezzling money with ISS. They thought that Paul and Derek wanted the freeway and weren't doing anything regarding the freeway because they own 5 acres of land west of Calabria. Not true, not true. Talking about these receipts and Halloween, I have a call into Kachina Management, Mark Roundsville, the owner of Kachina. I said, listen, go through your emails, Cliff's emails, find out there exactly, and show us the emails that were sent, the receipts. Because Paula and I did this every single year for Halloween. If she goes out and gets the tables, and I go out and get, the food or whatever, those have to be charged. We don't have an HOA card. We would charge those, send in the receipts, and then they'd cut us a check for whatever the receipts totaled. We don't have, Pam, you can vouch for this, we don't have any control over the budgets. We have no,
Well, not over the,
or excuse me, not the budgets,
They
of
write
funds.
checks.
I don't write
They
checks
write it out.
for this and that.
and they couldn't with Kachina either.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not possible, and it's so frustrating we have worked our butts off for this community. I still continue to do it. I pick up other people's dog crap when I'm walking on the path, and, yeah.
Yes, ma'am, this lady's trying to talk.
So, I just want to make a statement and then, ask for your advice. So I want it to be known, now, we are an HOA association, we are a nonprofit, and we have very strict IRS guidelines that determine, as far as our HOA and being able to maintain our nonprofit status. We can't make money as an HOA. However, when we have fees that are paid, 90% of those fees have to go towards your maintenance and your, just your operating maintenance. There is also, and Pam, please, just please take on that as well. And then it has to be 90%, and then you've got your other 10%, and that's beside what is set aside, which is a requirement for the reserve. And only certain expenses can be paid out of that reserve fee. So with this additional 10%, there are some things that you can do with it, or you can also have community events, or you can return that money to the individual homeowner. I think that, there's a lot involved if, you're gonna get $24.
Although Kelly's doing a great job of explaining, I want to clarify, she is not a CPA.
No, thank you.
And neither of us are attorneys, so we can't answer what's legal. But I will tell you that you have a CPA who does a full audit every year, and it's an outside CPA, not related to any management company or the board whatsoever. I've not seen anything in any of your audits that says there's any kind of problem. And when they do a full audit, they look at the receipts, they look at the invoices, they look at the checks that were written, they look at the bank balances, they look at all of it. I hope none of you have ever had an audit done. But it's quite thorough, so, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but.
I am not a CPA, and I am not an attorney, and I don't pretend to be one. I was just relaying some information I know regarding corporations and some flashing.
I appreciate that, but she's just gotta understand, I'm gonna ask the question because I live in this community. I drove by, I listened to them, I brought the things that I thought were some concerns, that's why I come to the meeting, to get it aired out, find out where we're at. Now, if everybody agrees, I'm okay with that.
That's the right way
I'm
to do it,
glad,
by the
I'm
way.
glad that you're bringing it up. I
Yeah.
really am, and I wish more people were here so we could share the truth with them.
You stop down there, they tell you the HOAs are broke, this, and this go on, so what do you think?
Right? No, I understand. That's what's so
You come to
frustrating.
meetings and you find out.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we did.
Can I
Bottom
just,
line is the numbers don't lie.
I just want to make one more
That's
statement,
what
and you can
CPA
take it for face value. Does anybody ever here consider that this small group of people may have their own agenda? Because I don't know what it is, I don't know why, but it's just awfully curious that none of these people appeared until 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago. It's amazing. One person got on the board and all of a sudden we had like this termite breakout. And I'm not quite sure why it is, and I'm not gonna make accusations, but, where there's smoke, there's fire. I'll just leave it at that.
And I do also want to give everybody a heads up, I believe we're being recorded again at this meeting. Are you recording? And by law, they can record the meeting, but we will have a recording policy in place at the next meeting. The attorney is drafting it now. It's sad that these get put on Facebook for social media.
Yes, it is.
Well, I guess it helps other people that can't attend.
It can be put on our website for the members, because a meeting is for members, it's not for everybody outside. That's the difference that we want to clarify.
Yeah, these are private meetings.
Yes,
And they are membership meeting, and when something's on Facebook, it's out there forever and we can't get it off. So,
Well, I guess the one thing, the other question, I think this gentleman didn't really bring up that specific thing though, Mike, is about your issues that are going on, and I think a lot of people, haven't really seen your comments back on that, right?
I haven't had a chance to really comment. I tried commenting on Linda's page, and I realized that was just going down the rabbit hole. I don't know what questions that you want to ask me. I would be more than willing to stay after and answer anything. I mean, it's,
So
his personal information has no place in the rec
Well-
association.
Why do we need to subject somebody that's using their own personal time for the betterment of our community to ask them about personal finances? We've just heard that we have a full audit of every receipt and every expenditure and every income every year. And we've heard that these individuals have been on our board and supported our community for the last 10 years.
As
So
volunteers.
irrespective of whatever Mike's been under scrutiny for, it's irrelevant to our community.
Well, I don't think so, because if it's true,
Everyone has skeletons in their
someone
closet.
as a treasurer for the community, I think people would want to know that information, right?
The only reason for them to know that is if there's any issue of maluse of our funds in our community.
I think it's just a fair question and the knowledge.
I think it's a fair question.
And the knowledge and the information should be available to people so they can make their own decision, right?
The gentleman asked about maybe what's perceived as excessive for a Halloween party. That may or may not be the case, but we have these forums where we monthly have an opportunity to vote. Now, presumably as a community, we can get together and vote to say we should or shouldn't have that use of our funds. Like we've discussed tonight something that somebody chose to object to that may or may not cause a concern for the health and safety of people that live in that part of the community. That's an issue.
I think enough people have signed to say that there's an issue, right? I mean, that's just the way it works, so.
No, enough people signed, they were interested in a recall vote, but that doesn't mean they're gonna vote to recall.
Right.
Those are different things.
And it should, definitely shouldn't be aired on social media.
Yeah,
agreed.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
I heard the comment that you said, is why are people silent for these accusations? Because 90% of them are false, and how do you respond when somebody says, I think you're a child molester in a public forum?
But I think it's
I'm
out
not
there,
finished,
it's
I'm not
out
finished,
there,
I'm not finished.
okay?
So, it's very difficult in a social media setting to respond in a favorable and factual way, because what you get is people will respond with malice and anonymity. It's none of their business, number one, but number two, these accusations are false, and a vast majority of them are very offensive to the people who have dedicated many, many years of service to this community.
Many more years than anyone else.
I would suggest that our board members have some sort of background check done on them before they get put on there, right?
No requirement for that.
Is that-
So I think we should add something like that.
We didn't have to vote for them, but we live in a democracy and the majority of people have elected these people to represent us.
Using social media that way is being like a coward. That's a coward's way of doing it.
Carl, if you have any questions for me, if anybody has questions for me, I would be more than happy to talk with you one-on-one. Specifically with a Linda recording and a Facebook post. This is for board members. And if any board member out there wants to talk to me,
Any
any homeowner wants to talk to me personally, I'm wide open
You
for
have to
it.
you have to be a homeowner to attend here. You have to be on the deed.
You have, not necessarily to attend, that's up
But
to the
to
board,
Okay.
but you do have to be a homeowner to sign or vote.
Okay.
And that's why a lot of the names that were on those petitions were not valid. Out of 147 signatures, I stopped validating when I hit 102 because 100 were required. And I had 4 or 5 more to validate that I didn't bother because there were 102 out of 147 valid.
So how do we know that the homeowner on the master, where is his, their, whoever voted for him?
Well, I don't know signatures. I can tell you I verified names against the deeds and the records.
I think
Some
you're asking about
spouses-
his original vote.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm
They're
asking
talking about the original one before, well, Kachina was here, they're talking about Randy.
Oh, the election, yeah, that I.
The election is nothing
I
to
have
me,
no way
you
to
know.
know.
Obviously, they had, Pam found people,
I'm
from-
talking about the petition.
yeah, the petition where they had husband sign on one page and
Wife sign.
wife sign on the second page. I mean, it was all
Renter
very,
signing.
very,
Non-owners were signing, spouses were signing when
Sketchy.
the husband owned the home or vice versa.
I got a question.
I'm looking for volunteers to help next year hang wreaths. Because Mike and Todd and I have hung the wreaths in our neighborhood for the past 10 years. And we could use.
Rudy, I'll tell you.
So yeah, I mean, since we're gonna have regular monthly meetings as it gets close to Christmas, I'd like to solicit volunteers.
Decorating committee.
Putting them up and taking them down. And I don't expect everybody to help put them up and take them down, but I'm sure, like, some people to help one and some people to help the other. That'd be great. And just so everyone in this room knows, the landscaper for our community actually houses our wreaths for free.
Yes.
And has done that for many
And
years.
he has removed them too.
And
The last 2
delivers them-
years.
delivers them to us for free, so.
Yes.
Kelly?
I think maybe these go hand in hand. I was trying to get some, first of all, I want to say that with everything that's happening in the master, I wish I kind of didn't live in A1, A2 because I'm feeling ostracized set apart. What I'm hearing is, you know, the way that A1, A2 looks. So, based on our scenes and honors and articles and bylaws and all of that, and just knowing.
She's gonna ask me a really tough question,
No,
I can tell already.
you can just know, like, Paul went to a tremendous expense putting, I mean, it was you, correct? Putting those palms in, that was, you put your own money out there to do that, correct? So, and I can see if somebody was just driving by, they could look and go, oh my gosh, look at A1, A2, and me knowing that because I live across the street, that you put that, yeah, that you, yeah, I think about it too, I know. That was a joke.
Don't, I was gonna say, don't say that.
But what I guess my point is, what my point is, it's my understanding, so if you live on where there is a public wall or something, that you're supposed to landscape it, correct? And,
Would depend, I'd have to look at the plat.
well, okay, but I mean, I think that maybe that is perhaps, and I'm just, you know, trying to figure this out here, maybe that is just a point of contention, is that I wanted to point out it's these homeowners that are doing this. This is not, you know, the master funds did not go to beautifying A1, A2, it is the homeowner. So I don't know how.
I wouldn't mind some
Kind of.
because I've got quite a lot of real estate.
So why don't we just have A1, A2 together and then?
Is that a possibility of splitting up the association?
Say that again, please.
Why can't A1 and A2 just be one HOA?
We have had several people bring that up, and it's something that, you know,
If I can jump
We've
in and
talked
take
about
over for Mike, we actually are talking to an attorney, so right now it's under attorney-client privilege. I will tell you the master would have to be very involved in doing that. So it would be possible, but it would probably take a vote of the entire community, all 590 homes.
And then we would have the same thing, the reason that Paul went back on the
Exactly.
master board is,
Yeah.
we want to.
Do we have to pay into the master board?
If you have to pay assessments to the master association as long as you're a part of the master. If you were de-annexed from the master, no, you would not be a part of it, therefore you would not pay assessments to the master.
But if we separate, then master would lose somewhere between $90,000 and $100,000, based on exactly how many houses there would be. So
Getting them to vote for that, not likely, guys.
it's a lot of money that they would be able to maintain that area very well, and they also have the walking trails that they have to maintain. So if you take $100,000 out of their budget each year, it's a lot of money. A lot.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I agree.
We are actually working
It's
with
a no-brainer. It is a no-brainer.
say it again, Jen.
We got no representatives from A1, A2 on the master anymore, is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah, it says two.
Still do.
we still do. We're under recall.
Right, there's a, okay.
You got three, right? You got three members on the master from A1, A2.
Oh, we do now.
Yes.
And then you got one guy.
We appointed
From the other guy.
2 people on the master meeting last week.
Okay.
So we were up to 5, just in case we do get recalled and we are no longer on the board, we'll still have 3.
But they're only on there until the annual meeting, so
Right.
it's a temporary.
In August, we'll have a brand new.
In August, they could run again, and again, went nowhere. Or the people that are on there could run and be reappointed. Temporary stopgap. Or else if these 2 would have left, it'd just be 1.
Anybody else want to be a re-volunteer?
I think,
Oh, I had one more thing to point out to you guys that I'd like to bring around to the community. The Chandler Extension Road, I'm sure you have all been reading about that more and more. I talked to John Cochran, who's one of the owners of Forte Homes and owner of Calabria, and him and I are trying to work on getting a petition together, because right now the way they have it is they have 2 lanes set to go right by that pump station, Chandler and Shaughnessy, across the 640 acres. They only have assessed 2 lanes until a developer buys the south side of that property, and then they're gonna put 2 other lanes in. I wanna put a petition together to make them put up 4 lanes right now to basically replace Pecos. Because it's, I mean, you think about a 2-lane road, if there's an accident in the morning, we're in a huge cul-de-sac, it's a safety issue. So if you can, try and be around, or we're gonna have people out there trying to get signatures. If we can get your signature on that as soon as possible, it's fairly pressing, because they wanted to start on that a month ago.
July, I believe it is.
And last meeting, it got pushed off because we wanted a traffic study. My biggest concern is, even if we do get 4 lanes, and Pecos is closed, if you think the amount of traffic, in my mind, when Pecos was closed on a Sunday morning, I went, Desert Foothills in Chandler is gonna be 40 cars deep. You're gonna be waiting 6 traffic lights to get through this intersection.
I can
They
tell
need
you
to
that's
figure
true,
out-
I live in Maricopa and go through it every night, going home on 347.
Right. So I think that's something that's very pressing that we are trying to push hard on.
What are they gonna do with the traffic lights going all the way down?
I asked them that, and they had no thought about it. They had no thought about that.
So basically, there's no turn signal.
They didn't do a traffic study.
And there's no turn arrow ahead, so you're gonna wait there for 2 years.
It will be a nightmare for 3 to 4
But
years.
that's the city of Phoenix, right?
Mhm.
That's not ADOT.
Correct.
Great.
Council members.
What's the entry point in the exit point gonna look like? Did they even make a picture of that?
No, that was still in the design phases. And it actually got stopped because they were breaking it down to 2 lanes, one each way. I mean, they had a bike lane and a sidewalk on one side. Yeah, I mean, you know how many accidents there are, like at 17th Ave. And that's, the whole thing shut down. If you got 2 lanes, we're dead. We're dead in the water. God forbid there's an emergency and we gotta get out of here.
This will be starting that in June, aren't they?
July.
July?
Yeah. That's probably not gonna happen.
Your motion to adjourn? Any other questions? No?
I just want to say thank you for your service.
Yeah,
You're
thank
welcome.
you.
Don't stress all the stuff.
And I want to thank you guys, because the pastor kind of gave us an ultimatum. If we ever have another meeting like that master meeting that was here last they won't let us use this building anymore. It was bad.
Even with armed guards?
That was at my office,
Oh,
we had
yeah.
the armed guard.
Okay, so I just did one question, and I think it's been answered, I just want to make sure. So going back, say, to this guy who wants maybe an extra retaining wall put up or something. If you have the regular turnout that you have at a meeting, which is basically nothing, do you guys just make that decision? Do you solely make those kinds of financial decisions, or does that get put to the community in some way? So obviously, there's other bigger issues people have money questions about and retaining wall. But
Those are kind of, it's basically up to the board. That's why you guys elect us. It's kind of like when the gates break. We don't have an election to see if we should get them fixed. We just fix them. Yep.
And so
The documents actually give the board the authority and the responsibility to maintain the common areas.
okay, perfect. So if there was something that, I don't know, and maybe this is just a moral question, like if there was something that you guys thought, geez, this is a lot of money, or this is a big issue, and it maybe affects a small amount of us, or a large amount of us, or whatever, would you at some point, maybe just advertise more and say, hey, this important issue's coming up if you wanna be there, or do we ever set anything up for like a referendum?
It'd probably be brought up at a board meeting.
You
So-
know, there's something up where you said you had such a dollar amount and it had to be voted up.
I just feel like that might protect you guys.
You can do that,
No, we won't.
you can do that. I know you can do that.
Yeah, the only thing, I don't even think of what, I'm trying to think of what we have. I mean, like our biggest expense, like I said, we've been over our reserve budget forever until the 100-year flood a couple of years ago, and then we spent an extra $60-some thousand cleaning up all the washes and taking care of all that. Right? Yeah. That's why we haven't had one for 2 years.
Well, that's it.
Yeah. So we have, it's hard to say what you do, because Paul brought up a good point. Like, we just resealed the streets, whenever that was, a year and a half ago. That cost us $20,000. That, we consider that just our responsibility. It's a maintenance issue that we have to do that.
Yeah.
They're private streets, they're not maintained by the city of Phoenix.
They have every right to their board, come to a meeting.
No doubt about it.
Yep. If there was a big optional deal, we have things that we can do like Survey Monkey. And we can email blast out a Survey Monkey to everybody. Please register on the website. Even if you don't want to use it, if you register on it, you'll get our emails when we do an email blast.
Give the website.
Karen,
I can give it to you.
Foothills Reserve.
.org.
.org, yeah.
.org, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, that's, are you having monthly meetings, you say?
yes.
We just did that tonight as far as assigning it. It's probably gonna be the third Tuesday of every month.
Yep.
And
As
that'll
long
be
as
on the
we can
website
Get a room
in the
here.
next week, confirmation.
And if we do it here and we can schedule the whole year, we can do one postcard out once a year when we've scheduled them for the year. And maybe the board will take December off, maybe they'll even take a summer month off. That's not unusual. But at least we can notice when the meetings are gonna be, and then after that, it'll be on the website calendar.
And do you need people to make sure that their contact information is correct? I know in the past, email blasts have gone out, and some people have said they're not receiving them.
If you register on the website, it will pull your email from the website, and it'll also pull it from our management system if we have some that are in our accounting and management program, even though they don't register on the website. But you have to update it. If you don't, as homeowners, update your email address, if you change it, then I can't help it, you don't get it.
How does the system verify that people who register?
I can run a report.
Okay. And if someone moves out of the neighborhood?
Oh, they're deactivated. Yeah, it's set. We have a whole process. So if they move out and they're no longer owners, they can move out. But if they're no longer owners, then we'll deactivate their access. They won't have access anymore.
I want to correct one thing for our record, please.
Okay.
That would be to Mr. Lee.
He's talking.
Yes. I don't know
I'm
how
sorry.
many times I've told you, but we need to make this clear. It has a 1,000-year flood.
You can only shorten that number.
So you can write that.
An extra zero.
It won't happen again in my lifetime. How about that?
Even a 100-year flood.
No. No. Either way. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So let's, motion to adjourn. It is 7:19.
Second.
I like you guys. Thank you. It was a great meeting.
Reggie's